Hello friends, this is Fox Nival Studios. Today we are here with new chapter What if Naruto was a Halo Spartan? Before starting story, please subscribe our channel. Now let's start the chapter. Covenant transport circles the area, which was a group of ruined buildings and abandoned insurrectist equipment. It was not the supply the Covenant wanted, it was who was in the area. In the corner of the area there was a small tower overlooking the area. There is a figure on top of the small tower. He was one of humanity's greatest defenders, a Spartan. Genetically modified super soldier designed to first fight the insurrection. But when the Covenant came along, that changed. The was 7.5 and clad in armor with black and red color scheme with a blue visor. He had a DMR in both hands. He sighed as the Covenant ships dropped their cargo of troops in the area. They never learn, do they? He prepared for his likely last battle. He saw the Covenant troop moving toward his location, but he didn't plan on doing that. He jumps from the tower and begins to move to engage the enemy. One of the grunts noticed him move toward and yelled to the other. They aim their plasma pistols and fire. The Spartan quickly ducked behind the wall to avoid the plasma rounds of the group of grunts. When they stopped for a moment, he took the chance and engaged the group of grunts. He shot the front grunt in the head. It dropped dead on the ground in front of the other three. Of course, panicked and began to run around. He quickly killed the other three. Then he heard a roar behind him. He saw an elite, an enemy tougher than the grunts. He assumed that was the squad leader. The elite aimed at the Spartan. The elite plasma rifle fired at the Spartan. One of the plasma rounds hit the Spartan in the back. Luckily his armor's energy shield blocked the plasma from going any further. The Spartan turned around to shoot at the elite. The elite energy shield blocked the round until the fifth round overloaded the elite's shields. The Spartan quickly took his empty mag out and put in a fresh one. The elite he noticed in his motion tracker was charging at him. He did not have time to shoot the elite. The elite jumped at the Spartan with murderous intent. The Spartan rolled to the left. The elite landed to the ground and looked to find the Spartan, only to find a gun barrel to his head. The Spartan shot the elite in the head. The elite fell to its side as it was shot dead. The Spartan heard a shout to his left and saw two more squad of 2 elite squad leaders and 4 grunts per squad. He went behind a wall. The 2 squads opened fire at him. The Spartan grabbed a grenade from his magnetic belt. He cooked the grenade, then threw it at the group. The grunts he heard panicked. Then the grenade exploded. He moved to engage the 2 squads. He noticed that 3 grunts were dead thanks to the grenade. With their bodies broken and blooded, he grabbed another grenade and threw it at the farthest squad. The squad he threw it ducked for cover, buying the time he needs to deal with the remains of this squad. He put his DMR on his back and grabbed his assault rifle and unleashed a hail of gunfire. The grunt took 3 rounds to drop dead. He aimed at the elite. The elite noticed and aimed at the Spartan and fired plasma rounds at him. 3 plasma hits the Spartan. The Spartan opened fire at the elite. The elite shield went away by the 15th round. The Spartan charged at the elite and punched him in the throat. The Spartan heard a crack. He knew the elite was done for. The grenade he noticed exploded behind him. He turned and saw the other squad engage him. He noticed that 2 grunts were dead from the grenade. Guess that Lucky Head was still there. The squad, which now had 2 grunt, and the squad leader opened fire on his position. The Spartan acted quick and grabbed a plasma from a grunt's body. Grenade at the elite. The elite rolled out of the way from the plasma grenade. The Spartan aimed his assault rifle at the 2 remaining grunts and fired. The grunts dropped dead. He heard a roar that beheaded him. He looked and was the elite holding an energy sword. He cursed himself with the same luck he had. The elite charged at him with a vengeance. The elite tempted to swing his sword at the Spartan from the side. The Spartan back rolled from the energy sword and fired his assault rifle at the elite until the clip was empty. The elite shield flickered off the assault rifle. The elite flinched from the assault rifle hitting him from the head. The Spartan acted quickly by hitting the elite by the butt of the assault rifle. The elite stumbled backwards, then felt pain from his neck. The Spartan took out his combat knife and put the knife in the elite neck. The Spartan took a breath of air. Then he saw more contacts in his motion tracker. More Covenant inbound. Great, he thought. He moved to attack the Covenant force. 10 minutes later he was running out ammo and his visor had 2 cracks. But they just kept coming at him like moths to a flame. An elite charged him to the ground, making him drop his DMR. The elite tried to kill them with his energy dagger. But the Spartan kicked him off. The force of the kick knocked out the energy shield of the elite. The Spartan grabbed a random assault and prayed it had ammo, which it did. He unloaded the assault rounds at the elite. The rounds hit the elite dead in the center. He saw the elite fall dead to it back. He got back up, then a plasma round hit his visor, putting a hole in visor. He quickly took off his helmet. The face of the Spartan was clear. He had red hair with a yellow tip at the end, with violet eyes. He noted that he was surrounded by elites. Not that it matters, he was to come out of this alive. The fight was hard, but he came out alive. Although he was down, doing the had to use a wind-style jutsu to blow them away. He will remember their faces when they recover from the jutsu. He used chakra to finish them, which was easy with his augmentation. After a minute of no covenant in the area, he picked up his hamlet and put it on magnetic his strap, and ran to the direction of the Forerunner installation. He used ninja run toward the Forerunner installation. Luckily he found a warthog and rode it to the installation. He made it to the installation. He got out the warthog and walked to what he thought was an entrance to the installation. He was about to hit the entrance when a holographic symbol appeared in front of him. Not knowing what to do, he pressed the symbol. The door opened. A command when pushed the hologram back. He entered the installation. The door behind him closed. He kept moving deeper into the installation. He looked at the architecture and thought for the first time he saw architecture. A while since he discovered it in his youth and led him to the life he lived in UNSC. Flashback: a figure was walking limply down a cave. He was injured in a trap to take his comrade's place in the trap. The figure was male, looked like he was 12-year. He had a flak jacket with a red swirl in the back. He was wearing a simple black shirt with tactical pants and a pouch to his side. He wears a headband with a medal with what looks like a leaf symbol. He keeps moving to find another way out. That was until he came across a metal door in a dead end. He approached and a symbol appeared in front of him. Well, with nowhere to go, he pushed his hand through the symbol. The metal opened in front of him like a door. He entered the long room. He saw something at the end of the room. He approached the end of the room. With his injured and exhausted state, he barely registered his headband, got loose from his head and fell on the ground. He was in front of the thing he thought looked like a gate. He heard a sound and looked to the left and saw the same symbol on the door. He went over towards it and pressed it. The gate comes to live as a black portal appears. He jumped back as the portal appeared. He slowly approached the black portal. He wanted to touch it with his hand, then everything went black. Flashback end: his flashback ended when he heard humming. As the humming got closer, he prepared himself. He saw an orb approaching him. "Well, hello there, Reclaimer, what are you doing here?" said the orb. "Identify yourself," questioned the Spartan. "I am 0232, the monitor of this installation," said the orb, now named Zero. The Spartan lowered his guard for a bit. "So you watch this place?" "Yes, that is my primary function, Reclaimer," answered Zero. "Why do you call me Reclaimer?" asked the Spartan. "Because humans are the reclaimers of Forerunner technology," answered Zero. He got closer as he hummed. "What?" asked the Spartan. "Your combat suit is damaged and horribly outdated," said Zero. "Hey, what do you mean horribly outdated?" asked the Spartan. "It is a level 2 combat suit. If you will allow me to make the necessary repairs and upgrades, I can make it a level 4 combat suit with the material at my disposal and with a personal slipspace device," said Zero. The Spartan took in what he just said, and it was a great deal to. "Okay, do it." "Excellent," Zero said happily. Then drones come out of the vent and start to take off his armor without difficulty. "Great," said Spartan. "May I have your name, Reclaimer?" "Zero." The Spartan thought of it and decided on his real name, Hiroto Namikaze Uzumaki. "Well, follow me, Reclaimer, to the slip gate room," said Zero. As Hiroto followed the monitor to the room, Hiroto thought of his life in the UNSC. When he was found by 2 people who nursed him back to health. And to the invasion of the Covenant that cost the lives of the people who give him a place to call home. Then he thought about his old life at the Element Nations. He thought of his family who mostly thought he was dead. And the girl he still loved. Even in his time as a headhunter for Oni, he still thought of her. Speaking of Oni, they probably thought he was dead. Which means he can go back home without no one knowing any better. Then he thought of the war with the Covenant. He knew he could not win the war on his own. But the package he delivered to Captain Keyes. The package they said was their greatest hope. He hoped that was the case. They walk more well in the monitor case float. Until they react to the slipgate room. Well, where do you want to go, Reclaimer? Asked Zero looking at Hiroto. Have you heard of the Element Nations? Asked Hiroto. Hiroto knew it was a long shot with that description. In his time with Oni he sometimes asked details on whatever missions the pencil pushers assign. But they said it is not important just to get the job done. Of course it annoyed him to no end. Some of his killing intent he developed over at Oni to leak out. Somehow the pencil pushers didn't seem bothered by the slightest. Which goes to show how emotionless they are. The same elite group that he fought hours ago almost killed him. Some of them froze when some of his killing intent was out. Which was saying something. No, I don't think so. Why don't you explain the landmass for me? Asked Zero. He explained what his world looked like from his memory. With that done the monitor went to go check the installation archive. He was in the room for about an hour before the monitor returned with a drone with what looked like a small device. Hello Reclaimer, I am back. Sorry for the wait, but I believe I have found the world you spoke about and the upgrades of your combat suit, said Zero. Great to know, but where is my armor? Asked Hiroto while getting up from the floor. It is in slipspace. Answered Zero. What? Hiroto looking confused. Here, put this in your arm, said Zero as he pulled the small device from the drone. Hiroto takes the device on his left arm. He felt something washing over him. Now press it, said Zero. Hiroto pressed it. A hologram display popped up. Whoa, he said surprised. Now go to armaments, said Zero. He went to the armaments and saw his armor and UNSC weapon on display. Now go to your combat suit and summon it. Hiroto went to his armor and saw something called summon. He pressed it. There was a blue flash, but it went away quickly as it came. He opened his eyes and saw his helmet display on. Awesome. He thought with this he can summon his armor when he was in trouble. What kind of upgrade did you make? Asked Hiroto. Well, the armor is stronger than before and the shields are 200% stronger, explained Zero. Hiroto was amazed with this. He could capture a Covenant battlecruiser. Then he asked, what about ammo? Don't worry, I put an engineer in your slipspace so it can repair and maintain your combat suit and weapons and to make ammunition when you need it. Great, thank you. You said you find my world, can you show me it please? Said Hiroto. Of course, said Zero. His eye showed a map that showed it was his homeworld. That's it, Hiroto said as he sent back his armor to slipspace. Great, it will take some time to get the slip gate connected, said Zero. Why would it take time? I thought it was instantaneous, asked Hiroto while looking at the monitor. Well, that would be the case, but the slip gate you chose is quite far away, said Zero. How far are we talking about here? Asked Hiroto. About the other side of the galaxy, said Zero. Hiroto's eyes widened. That is why the Covenant hasn't found his homeworld. Because it was on the other side of the galaxy. Hey, do you have a device for changing my face to you? Asked Hiroto because he didn't want rumors to spread, because he knew his family would search for the rumors even if he was long dead. Especially if his little brother heard the rumor. If there is one thing he learned from Oni, is that you want your identity a secret until the time is right. Of course, why? Asked the Zero looking at him, because in case I need it, answered Hiroto while looking at the hologram setup on his left arm. The monitor orders the drone you get the device. When he got the device the monitor teached him how to use it. The slip gate is ready, Reclaimer, said Zero as the slip gate activate. Thank you for the he, but was interrupted by a sake of the installation. What was that Covenant? Thought Hiroto while he was looking around to see an enemy. You must go now, they open the main gate, said Zero. Hiroto nods as he steps in front of the gate. He takes a deep breath and walks though black covered his vision. The black instance fades as he comes out of the other side. He was in the same room in one he was in when he was a kid. He looked round and saw some shining on the floor in the middle of the room. He went to see what it was. What he finds is his old hidden leaf headband. He picked it up, removing the dust. He looked at the symbol of the leaf and saw his reflection. For a moment he saw his younger self, that was the innocence that he once had. He blinked and his younger self was one replaced by a veteran of a war. He wonders if he can put it slipspace with the rest of his armor. He went to his device the monitor gave him. He looked for the add command. He found it and scanned it. He sent it to slipspace. He saw that there was damage to it. and it hit the repair command. It was done in a second. He summed it back and it looked brand new. He put it back in slipspace. He did not need it now. He moved to the door. He pressed the symbol on the door and it opened to a dark cave. He summoned his armor. His helmet display came on and he turned on his flashlight. He looked around and started to move to where the entrance of the cave was destroyed. As he was moving he began to think about what to do. He had two options. He could go to the Hidden Leaf to his family and explain what happened on the mission. He would be with his family and the girl he loved, but people would question where he was, which was easy. He will tell him the truth, well, the half-truth. Option 2, he could stay hidden. Well, his family will think he's dead, but no one in the world thinks he is alive, and he would have freedom to make a move without his father's approval and his actions wouldn't be associated with the Hidden Leaf. Then there was Hana Inuzuka, who was probably devastated when she thought I died. He flinched when he thought of her reaction to his supposed death and my mother's reaction anyway. Hana, he could trust her with his life. She will ask what happened to him. He will tell her the truth of what happened on that mission. She deserves it. She probably blames herself. Maybe tell her how he feels. That is if she didn't move on. His family was another thing. It's not like he didn't trust them and didn't get him wrong, he trusted them. It's just that he didn't want them to worry about him, not that he couldn't take care of himself. He just knows his family would want to help him, but he works better alone. He can imagine his family reactions to him being alive. His father will be happy to know that he was alive. His mother would hug him to death and cry profusely. His little brother would celebrate with some ramen. And his little sis. That right, mother he remembered was 9 months pregnant with his little sister when he left for the mission. Did she give birth when he was on the mission with Hana? He hoped so. He did not want his mother to miscarry because of his supposed death. He continued to move in the cave. The only thing he can hear is his armored footsteps. Until he found rubble. He guessed this was the destroyed entrance. So with nothing better to do to get out of here. With a chakra-enhanced armored fist he punched the rubble. The rubble was destroyed, clearing the way out. Works every time, I said while looking around to see that the sun was out. He dismissed his armor. Because he didn't want anyone to know that an armored giant punched through rubble. He laughed at the thought of someone seeing him punch through a pile of rubble. Then he looked back at the cave entrance and thought of the Forerunner structure. He did not want someone to find it. So he did what was the only thing he was going to do. He did a couple of hand signs, earth style, earth avalanche. Stones fell on the cave entrance. Now he started to move from tree to tree to find the nearest town. He wondered what his father was doing right now. Konoha, in the land of fire, there stood a village named Konoha, or the village hidden in the leaves. It was an impressive size. There are district dedication to residential and markets. There are districts for major clans like the Hyuga and the Uchiha and so on. In the back center of the village there was a red tower. In this tower there was the leader of the Hidden Leaf Village, the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze, also known as the Yellow Flash of Konoha. He has been going through paperwork since graduation for the current class of Konoha Academy students, one of them being his son Naruto. His daughter Rei is starting the academy next year. He sighed that his son would soon enter the real world, the same one that claimed his eldest son. He still remembers the day that his mission partner Hana Inuzuka. The poor girl, he knew the girl had feelings for him since the academy and his son held the same. He remembers the teasing both of their mothers gave them. Then 2 days after Rei was born she came to their house about their son. They were watching Naruto play with his little sister when the bell rang. They thought it was their son to greet them. But instead they open the door and see Hana alone crying. In shock, they noticed their son wasn't there with her. In a panic they asked what happened, hoping their son was in the Konoha hospital instead of their worst fear. All Hana had to say was, "Sorry." Then the poor girl collapsed on knees and continued to say, "Sorry, and, it was my fault." Once the girl calmed down they asked what happened. She told them that they cleared the camp of bandits and of rogue shinobi. There was a cove, so Hana and Hiroto went in to search for any straggler while her ninkin were watching. The moment she entered there was an explosive tag that went off above her. Hiroto grabbed her by the jacket collar and replaced her with him. Then she went to cry. When she calmed down, Kushina asked the girl if she could walk home alone. Hana nodded to the question. Him and Kushina could barely keep it together. Their son was possibly dead or alive under a pile of rubble. He sent an Anbu squad to investigate. They found nothing, no body. They went inside the cave and found footstep that led to a metal wall of some kind. After that Minato declared him MIA. Of course, after 4 years of finding nothing he was declared KIA. His train of thought halted when he heard a knock on the door. "Come in," he said, looking back down at this paperwork. The door opened to reveal his only alive student, Kakashi Hatake. "Good even Lord Hokage," he greeted with a bow. "Please call me Minato when we are alone," Minato said with a laugh. "Of course Minato-sensei," Kasashi said with a eyed smile. "Anyway, I assume this is not a pleasant visit," said Minato. "You are right. It is about the team I requested?" asked Kakashi. "Yes, the team of my son Naruto Namikaze, Itachi brother Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. Tell me why them specifically?" asked Minato. "Well, Naruto is your son and he already knows me and he has great potential, as well as Sasuke, and Sakura has great chakra control," said Kakashi. "Yes, the reports of Sakura was that she wants to be a medic nin, and," he sighed, "Naruto and Sasuke say they want to be like their brothers." "Minato-sensei, don't worry, I will keep Naruto safe, you can count on me," Kakashi with confidence. "I know you will. I am just worried," said Minato. 3 years ago he had to declare that his son was dead. They found nothing in the years they searched, it was just like he vanished without a trace. Kushina went to their son's room to grieve. It was only with the help of Yuri Hyuga and Makoto Uchiha that she came out. When she comes out of their son's room, she comes with the terms of reality. Their eldest son was dead. They had to wait for Kushina to start the funeral. Who were at the funeral was Hiyashi Hyuga, his wife Yuri, and their 2 children Hinata and Hanabi. Fugaku Uchiha and his wife Makoto Uchiha and their sons Itachi and Sasuke. Itachi had been a friend and a rival to Hiroto and Hana Inuzuka, to the surprise of the Minato and Kushina come as well. Minato got up and from his chair went to look at his village. "I know you will keep him safe. I just don't want to lose another one." Kakashi knew what he was talking about. Doing the Third Shinobi War they lost both Rin and Obito, then doing Naruto Birth they lost Lord Third to seal the 9 tails in Naruto. Then when Hiroto had died, Minato had to stay strong for the village. But Kakashi could tell that his heart was still bleeding because of it. "Anyway, is that all?" Kakashi said while he turned to Kakashi. "Yes, Minato-sensei, thank you," said Kakashi as he took his leave. Minato turned to look at his village, then to the sky. "How are you doing up there, my son?" Then he went back to work. Somewhere in the fire country Hiroto has been running through trees for about an hour and a half. Until there is a road that should lead to a town. He continued to jump from tree to get there. He saw the town in the distance. When he got to the town, he looked at himself and saw he still had his undersuit on. He needs to get clothes. He was going to stealthily acquire them. Alright, he was going to steal some cloth, it not like he had some Ryo on him. He acquired a sleeveless black shirt and camo black pants and a black cloak to hide his arm, which were scared to the brim because of his augmentation and with the fight with the Covenant, and a straw hat to hide his face from anyone. He changed into his casual clothing, as he liked to call it. He sent his undersuit back to slipspace. "Let's see if this works." He touched his holopad in his arm. He went to the commands that he can change his features on his face. He went with a black hairstyle with blue eyes. He grabbed a mirror to see if it worked. His face looked like the one he put on. "Nice," he whispered to himself. He put on the cloak and the hat. He went into the town. He looked around the town and saw people going about their business without feeling like there was no intergalactic war going on somewhere on the other side of the galaxy. That he was thankful for. He continued going there out of town. He then decided that he needed a break. With working for Oni and fighting a group of aliens that wanted everyone dead in your race put a lot of stress on you. He asked one of the locals where the bathhouse was. The local pointed to where the direction was for the bathhouse. He found the bathhouse and entered and put his stuff away in a locked box. He entered the pool area with only a towel on. Hiroto had a muscular build that would make any woman fall for, with a 8-pack and lengthy scars thanks to his augmentation and bottles. He looked around the area and saw someone at the back looking through something. He rolled his eyes at the man he knew was a pervert. He entered the bath and relaxed. God, this felt great, he thought as he relaxed. It would have been more perfect if the guy was not mumbling to himself. He turned to tell him to, "Hey man, can you keep your mumbling to yourself, that'd be great." The man who had long white spiky long hair turned to him and he saw his head had a red line going from bottom to his eyes. "No can do. I'm doing research here," he said with a grin. Hiroto's eyes widened as he had a cleaner image of the man. He knew him from one time he visited his childhood home. This man is his godfather Jiraiya. Yes, oh yes, thought Jiraiya. He was currently doing research for his new book Make Out Paradise. He had things to do like going to the Hidden Leaf to tell Minato about a certain organization and to see his godchildren. He then heard someone enter the man's bathhouse. Then he went to his research and to his mumbling. Then the man asked, "Hey man, can you keep your mumbling to yourself?" He turned around and looked at the man and gave him a grin and said, "No can do doing research here." The man's eyes widened in shock a moment, then went back to the clueless, "Does he know me from somewhere?" He thought to himself. He was legendary for his book. But by this man's reaction he must know of his title, one of the Sannin. Which means he's a leaf shinobi or shinobi from another village or a rogue shinobi. He hopes it is the first one. Jiraiya looks at the man with blue eyes and black hair and notices the man's arm that was riddled with scars. This man has seen a lot of combat, but he looks 19 years old. While it is common for shinobi to have some scar but not that many for his age. That was only in his left arm. What about the rest of his body? But the way he changed his shocked eyes to a clueless look. He must be trained to change his emotions on the fly. He wanted to go back to his research, but the man was unknown and in the fire country. Jiraiya laughed. "Sorry, didn't mean to disturb you," Jiraiya said while putting his research book away. The man shrugged. "It my fault you were here first." Boing, what you were doing? As he laid his head back. Yes, his research is important, but that can wait. Jiraiya as he went to the change room. He need to know more of his man. Hiroto watched Jiraiya leave and he sighed. He did not want to talk to his godfather after so many years. He probably thought he was a shinobi out on a trip. Then he heard the door open and saw that his godfather walked back in with only a towel. He cursed himself. Why couldn't he just leave? Where is that luck now? Jiraiya then entered the bath across from him. Jiraiya sat down across from him. They sat there awkwardly. Jiraiya, he noticed, was looking at scars across his body and he was groaning internally. He was going to ask him what he did to get all these scars. "So what do you do for a living?" asked Jiraiya without missing a beat. Hiroto said, "I do bounty hunting for a living." That's a lot of scar for a mere bounty hunter to have," said Jiraiya looking at him. "I go for the higher bounty one," said Hiroto. "There must be a lot of strong bounty for this amount of scar," said. Hiroto knew what he was doing. He is getting information on him. He was glad he asked the monitor for the disguise device. Hiroto needs to change the conversation. "What are you doing here anyway?" "Well, my friend, I was doing research for my book franchise, Make Out Paradise," Jiraiya said while pulling out a book. Hiroto gave him a blank stare and said, "What type of research are we talking about?" "Sorry my friend, you need to be the right age to understand this book," Jiraiya said with grin. Hiroto knew what he was trying to do. He wants to know his age to make an accurate assessment of this unknown elements in the fire country. Hiroto rolled his eyes at him. His godfather did not change in the time he was gone. "Okay," said Hiroto. Hiroto noticed that Jiraiya was not satisfied with that answer. Hiroto internally smirks. Jiraiya thought he was going to get information. Hiroto was going to leave. "Where are you going?" asked Jiraiya as he was about to leave. "Going to find a inn," Hiroto said as he was halfway through the door. "I can help you find an inn. I know this town quite well," offered Jiraiya as he too got up. "Yeah, no thanks. But thanks for asking," Hiroto said while closing the door. He quickly put on his clothes. And left looking for a place to stay the night. He knows that his Jiraiya will report this to his father. The exact opposite of what he wanted. No use to complain now. But in order to stay at the inn he needed Ryo. He signed as he need to acquire Ryo. Jiraiya was now on a rooftop looking at the man he met at the bathhouse. He knew he was lying about him being a bounty hunter. Only a shinobi can get those. But he only looks early to mid-20s. What happened to him, Jiraiya wondered. And why did he seem familiar? He left to the Hidden Leaf. Hiroto woke up in the room he got yesterday. He of course had to make sure that his godfather was not following him, which he was not. He got up from the bed and moved to the bathroom to take a shower. While he was taking a shower he was thinking about what to do for the day. He need to find a job, not some stupid D-ranked mission. That is the one thing he loved about Oni. They gave him what he considered S-rank missions. Then again, there is no shortage of S-rank missions when you're fighting against the insurrection and the Covenant. He heard from the locals that bandits and some rogue shinobi were causing problems with trade. He can deal with bandits and some rogue shinobi. He finished his shower. and put on his casual clothes and went to find the mayor. He asked some of the locals for directions for the town hall. The locals pointed to the direction of the town hall. He thanked the person for the help. He found the town hall. He entered and saw a woman which he assumed was the secretary to the mayor. He went to the desk where she was. The secretary was working on something that the mayor wanted done by the end of the day until she saw the man enter the building. "Hi, how can I help you today?" "Hi, I want to see the mayor of this town," asked Hiroto. "Why would you want to see the mayor?" she asked. He narrowed his eyes at the woman. "I am looking for work, so I heard you have a bandit and rogue shinobi problem." The woman now feels uneasy about his gaze. Well, that may be true. But the mayor is already making a contract to send to Konoha to get some shinobi to deal with them. Well, he won't need the fees to get a mission. "I will complete the mission for less ryo," said Hiroto with confidence. The woman did not know what to say. She sighed, "Come this please." Hiroto followed the woman through the building. She comes to a stop at a door and opens the door. "Excuse me, sir," said the woman. "What is it?" asked a voice in the room. Hiroto thought it was the leader of the town. "There's someone to see you," said the woman. "Tell them to wait. I am busy right now," said the voice. "He said he can take care of our problem, sir," said the woman. "Can he know we'll send him in then?" Hiroto went in as soon as he heard the man asking her to send him in. Hiroto enters and sees a man in his early 40s. He had brown eyes and black hair. Hiroto saw that there were papers on his desk which he assumes that they are papers to get help from Konoha. "Hello sir, what can I do for you today?" asked the man. "Well, I need work and I heard you have a problem with bandits and rogue shinobi here," said Hiroto as he grabs a chair and sits across from him. "Well, that may be true. What can you do?" the man asked while looking at Hiroto. He did not seem like a fighting type judging from what he was wearing. Hiroto smiled at the leader of this town, thinking he did not know how to fight because of what he was wearing, and said, "I know I don't look like it, but I have a very particular set of skills for this occupation." "And why would I hire someone I don't know about instead of a couple Konoha ninja?" asked the mayor. "Well, I can do it for cheaper and I am right here where it can take days getting here and I can do it faster than the shinobi of the Hidden Leaf," offered Hiroto. The man considered the offer. There was some truth to what he was saying. "And the requirements of this job will be a B-rank mission contract according to the requirements." The more he thought about it, the more he considered the offer. The man was here so he would not have to wait for the ninjas, and he'd do it for less ryo. He would pay for his services instead of Konoha. Plus, if he did not return, he will just go with the original plan. The man thought about it some more and said, "All right then, if you think you can do it." Hiroto smirked with satisfaction and said, "Trust me, I know I can do it. Anyway, what am I dealing with here?" The man put out a map from his desk drawer. "As you know, we are on the road for the Wind Country trading routes. While we are a bit farther from the village hidden in the leaf, traders usually take the path to our town because it is a lot safer." He pointed at the route of the town. "Then some of the main routes." The man signed, "At least until recently. When we didn't have any traders coming to our town, we sent a small team to investigate. When the team came back, they reported that they found some broken carts alongside the road and dead bodies on the road. If this town is out of the way of the main trade routes, why would bandits and rogue shinobi go out of the way to attack further from the main route?" asked Hiroto as he crossed his arm. This was something that bandits and rogue shinobi regularly didn't do regularly unless someone smart was leading them. "I don't know." He shakes his head. "I was going to send help from Konoha until you came. Are you sure you can do this on your own?" "Of course I can," said Hiroto with confidence. "Anyway, can you tell me where these attacks have happened?" "Of course." The man nodded and pointed to an area of the map where the attack happened. Hiroto with his keen eyes noted that there were some areas for the rogue group that they could use as a hideout. "Do you mind if I can borrow the map to assist me in location?" Hiroto asked the mayor. "Of course." He answered. Hiroto grabbed the map and got up and said, "Thanks for the info. The people I used to work for simply give me a target and location and get the job done," he said with a sadistic laugh, which in turn the man in front of him gave him worried eyes. "Where are these people exactly that you used to work for?" the man asked nervously as he began to look around. Hiroto turned around and with a grin said, "I don't work for them anymore." Then he left the nervous leader of the town. The man thought to himself, "Who have I hired for this?" He then went back to work. Naruto wakes up in his bed at his home. He was excited for today because he was to officially become a ninja and get assigned to a team. He still had black spots from the incident with Mizuki. But the black spots were fading away thanks to the Nine Tails chakra. He got up and went to put on his gear for the day. He put on his ninja gear. He made his way downstairs and made his way into the living room where his little sister was reading some of the ninja textbooks they had around. Though by the looks of it she seems bored out of her mind. Not that he could blame her, for he found them boring enough. Their mom usually taught him the basics of being a shinobi, like chakra control and basic element control. Since Rei was still young she could only watch them doing it. But that trying it always got her tired at the end of those sessions. She heard him come downstairs and looked at him with big joyful eyes. "Big brother, are you ready for today because you become a ninja?" Naruto chuckles at his red-haired little sister. It kinda reminds of him when his big brother came back from his mission where he asked about his missions. He felt a ping of regret that Rei didn't know too much of their older brother. When she asked about him they avoided the question because it still hurts to talk about him. She really deserves to know about him. "Of course I am ready. I am a son of the Hokage." He gave her a big grin. "Are you ready to start the academy next year?" "Of course I am, but this book stuff is boring." She looked at the book. When Naruto was walking past his sister he looked at the book. It was about a couple basic chakra control techniques. She would have better luck with chakra control than he would because of the Nine Tails chakra. It was hard to get descent control when his chakra reserves were huge. It was useful especially for jutsus or his shadow clone jutsu. "Well, you have to learn how to control your chakra. Without control you won't be able to do jutsu," Naruto explained to his red-haired sister. "I learn more from you and mom than the book," she said, to which Naruto laughed. "You always end up tired from those sessions. Plus you will have more luck than me in chakra control than me," he said. Rei gave him a look. "Why would you have trouble in chakra control?" Damn it, he couldn't tell his little sister about the Nine Tails because his father told him not to tell anyone about it being a state secret. He was about to respond when they heard their mother yell out, "Naruto, come get breakfast, we don't want to be late to the graduation ceremony, do we?" "No, Mom," yelled Naruto. Naruto turned to his sister and said, "Come on." His sister nodded quickly and got up. They went to eat breakfast and get ready for the day. With Hiroto was moving to the tree line at top speed. He was going to the scene in which the bandits and maybe rogue shinobi attacked. He concluded that there was a leader. No way bandits were smart enough to attack caravans out of the main trade routes, and the rogue shinobi had to have a leader. If so, how strong was he to control a couple of bandits and a group of rogue shinobi? Not that it matters anyways. No matter how strong this little group, he would eliminate them like the Covenant in Insurrection. He soon arrived at the scene. He jumps down to the tree and sees if he can find anything useful to help him locate the group, or at least a contingent of the group that might have been left to continue the raiding some other unlucky caravan. He looked around and saw carriages that had been destroyed by the attack. He saw some weapons which were that of spears and shinobi equipment that were abandoned by the owners in some trees in the ground. He walked to the nearest kunai and picked it up and inspected it. It was in good enough shape to be thrown to kill. He then went to pick up some more kunai and ninja stars. He doesn't want rumors to get out of him carrying advanced weapons. He didn't want to think about what shinobi could do if they got some UNSC equipment. He would just use shinobi equipment and his ninjutsu, and if something were to happen he would summon his armor. He began to look around the damaged carriages to see if he could find some kind of clue. He didn't find anything useful, just some looted crates. They were picked clean of anything useful. He then looked at the outskirts. He did find some old tracks of a group that led deeper into the forest north of here. After he searched the area for some more clues, he followed the old tracks deeper in the forest. He found some kind of abandoned camp that looked recently abandoned by 3 days by what Hiroto estimates. Which meant that they left when traders were no longer coming, or the one leading this was smart enough to leave before shinobi from a village could come and deal with them. Hiroto looked around the abandoned camp for anything useful. All he found was abandoned crates that smelled like food and broken weapons. He looked around the outer area to find tracks that led to a mountain far in the distance. He pulled out his map from the mayor. He looked at the distance and figured that at top speed he could reach it by day end. So he sprinted to the mountain at top speed. He would sometimes look at the came to a stop when he looked at the track that went west, but they were still heading to the mountain. The only thing that this was a diversionary group meant to throw a pursuer off. He had to come up with a decision. He could stay on course and deal with the main group to let this little diversion group cause problems to random caravans that are passing through the road. He could deal with this group and risk the main group getting away. He decided that he would deal with the small group but just to be safe. Just to be safe. He thought out loud. He did a hand sign and said, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." Next to him a cloud of smoke appeared. The smoke went away to reveal a copy of him. The clone looked to him for order. "I need you to scout that mountain for any activity, and if you do find anything about the main group I need you to watch," Hiroto ordered without a hint of emotion, stepping into his Spartan personality. He was now hunting, and this small group shall soon know who the true fear is. For the headhunter was out. And he will not stop until he gets his target. The clone nodded and jumped from the trees to the mountain. Hiroto looked as the clone went to do its objective. Hiroto went west to eliminate this group. He followed the tracks to a somewhat abandoned trail that looked like a trap. He knows that the group was near. It's time like this that I had Hana tracking skill. Hiroto as he thought about her. To the day he met her. Flashback Jutsu. Hiroto was walking through the hall of the academy. This was his first day in the ninja academy. To say he was excited was an understatement. He was super excited. He was following in his parents' footsteps. He saw the classroom that he was assigned. He entered the class and saw kids around his age talking to each other before class started. He started to look for a seat. Most were occupied except for one that was next to a girl his age that had brown hair and brown eyes. He went to the desk that was empty next to her. "Hey, is this desk taken?" asked Hiroto to get the girl's attention. "No, it is not," said girl. "Do you mind if I sit here?" asked Hiroto with a smile while scratching the back of his head. Since this was the first girl he talked to besides his mom would remind him to treat girls with respect or he will suffer the consequences. He did not need to know what the consequences were when his mother was involved. The girl blushes at the smile he gave her. That went unnoticed by Hiroto. "No, I don't mind." Hiroto sat at the desk getting ready to start the class. As he was done getting his stuff, they both sat there in silence. Hiroto thought that he should talk to her but didn't know what to say, so he asked, "What's your name?" The girl, Hiroto noticed that she was in her own world. She turned to him and said, "My name is Hana Inuzuka, what's yours?" "My name is Hiroto Namikaze," he said. Hana had a questioning look. "Like the fourth Hokage?" "Yeah, that my dad," said Hiroto looking down. He sometimes hated being called the Hokage's son. "Wow, you must have had an interesting life," said Hana. "Not really, I hate it when people call me the Hokage's son. It's annoying. I have a name, you know," said Hiroto with an annoyed expression. Hana giggled at his expense. "Well, that's what happens when you're the Hokage's son." Hiroto groans, "Don't tell me about it, Hokage's son, that Hokage's son, this is annoying." Hana laughed, "Well, Mr. Hokage's son, I am sure it will get better soon." Hiroto's head fell to the desk with a loud thud. Hana giggles. Hiroto looked up and looked at her. "Please do not call me that." Hana stopped giggling and gave him a smile. "Of course, sorry Hiroto, just messing." They continued to talk to each other about things in their lives. Like Hana comes from a clan that have great tracking skills with their ninja dog with them and they could talk to them. "I hope I get one soon," Hana said with a smile. "Yeah, I get what you mean, except you get a dog, but I have a little brother to take care of and he's a handful." Hiroto. Hana laughed. "Yeah, I get it, I too have a little brother and he too is a handful." Hiroto gave her a look and said, "You also have a little brother?" Hana nodded. "Yeah, about 4-year-old. What about you, brother?" "Same age, but that boy has a great appetite for ramen," said Hiroto with a shrugs. Hana smiled just when someone entered the classroom. Thus class started. Flashback end. Hiroto snapped out of his time in the academy. He had a mission to accomplish. He began to go around the area of the road to see if the group was waiting somewhere, and he did find said group. He looked at the group of bandit, which consisted of 5 bandit and 2 rogue shinobi, probably Chunin level. "Man, why do we have to be out here and not at the hideout?" complained one of bandit. "Man, quit complaining, the boss just wants some extra loot," said another bandit. "Well, if that's the case, then why is he not here with us?" said the same bandit. The other bandit was about to respond when, "Quiet both of you. And keep a lookout for any caravans," ordered one of them, missing Nin. The two that were arguing begrudgingly agreed and what for some unlucky caravan to pass. Hiroto looked at the small group in front of him. The bandit would be easy as grunts. The missing Nins will not be as easy as the bandit, but he'll manage. Plus he needs information on the main group, so he will keep one of the missing Nins alive. Hiroto got out some shuriken. Now he knows he hasn't used a shuriken in a long time. But throwing a grenade and throwing a shuriken aren't so different, right? Well, he was about to find out. Hiroto threw 3 shuriken at the 3 bandits. The shuriken flew at their intended targets. One hit a bandit on a shoulder while the other ones hit their target on the back. The 3 that were hit screamed in pain, alerting the other 4 others. The bandit that was hit by shuriken went to the ground withering in pain. The missing nins throw shuriken at where Hiroto was. Hiroto jumped to another tree and pulled out a kunai and watched them for their next move. One bandit that was uninjured went to the others. What the hell was that? Getting in a battle stance. A shinobi. One of the missing nins said as he and the other pulled out kunai to prepare to battle. Here right now? Asked the other bandit that was helping the injured bandit. But the boss said they would take days to get here. Asked the other bandit. Hiroto decided to unleash some killing intent on the group. The missing nin of the group tensed while the bandits froze in fear. Hiroto jumped in front of the group. "Who are you?" said one of the missing nin. "Who I am matters not to you," Hiroto said emotionless. One of the missing nin growled and threw the kunai he was holding. Hiroto easily deflected the kunai with his kunai. Hiroto looked at the kunai that the missing nin threw at him. Well then, guess that settle it. Play Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance Ost Rules of Nature. The missing nin growled and did some hand seals and shouted, "Earth-style mud bullet jutsu." A mud projectile shot out of the missing nin mouth and raced towards Hiroto. Hiroto saw the jutsu coming and dodged it by jumping to right. The jutsu ended up hitting a tree behind him and exploded, cover the sit of the tree with mud. Hiroto landed and rushed at the missing nin group, intention to kill them. Well, he was planning on keeping one of them alive for a bit for information about the main group. The 2 missing nin jumped out of his way into the tree. "Where are the 2 of you going?" screamed the bandit that was unharmed by Hiroto's assault in the beginning. Hiroto ran in front of the bandit and grabbed him by the throat and said, "They are missing nin. Why would they help you?" Hiroto then heard shuriken from behind him. No doubt the 2 missing nin from the group saw an opportunity to kill him. But the 2 missing nin are about to learn that his was hard to kill. Hiroto turned around and used the bandit that he was holding as a shield. The shuriken hit the bandit that was going to hit him in the back. Hiroto then threw the bandit that he was holding by the neck to the ground. The bandit that Hiroto threw on the ground screamed when he hit the ground. One of the bandits that was hurt doing Hiroto's first attack somehow got up and aimed his bow at him. Hiroto heard the attack coming thanks to years of experience. He sidestepped the arrow and threw a kunai at the bandit neck, instantly killing him. Then he heard one of the missing nin shout, "Earth-style earth-shattering spikes field." Hiroto felt the ground shake. He immediately jumped to the nearest free as the area that he was in erupted earth-made spikes. Easy killing the rest of the bandits that were on the ground. That fool who casted the jutsu made Hiroto his job easier as he cleared the bandits for him. All Hiroto needed to do is capture one of them alive and interrogate one of them about the main group. Which meant one of them had to die. He then heard them talking. "Look what you did, you killed them, you moron," said the missing to the right. "What, it was not like they were important," said the missing nin to the left. "I am not talking about them being alive. What am I going to tell the boss when we get back?" said missing nin. "We just tell him the guy that attacked us killed them," said missing nin. "Do you think that he will believe that?" said missing nin. The missing nin was about to answer when Hiroto appeared in the middle in between them and said, "It's funny you think you will make it out alive." Before the missing nin could blink, Hiroto punched the missing nin to his right in the stomach hard, knocking him out cold. Then kicked the other missing nin in a tree, then launched 3 kunai at him. End Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance Ost Rules of Nature. The kunais hit the missing nin heart, throat and head, effectively killing him. The missing nin lifeless body fell to the ground with a thud. Hiroto looked at the body and smirked, "Still got it?" He whispered as he looked around and noticed that the spikes that the missing nin called forth was now crumbling to dust. Then he looked at the one he knocked out. "Me and you are going to have a long talk." He picked him up and began to move to the mountain, but first needed information about this little group. Hiroto watched as the fire burned in the campfire he made for the night. He was at least an hour away from the mountain, in which he will search for the bandit group. He looked at the shinobi laying next to the tree with wire around his legs and arms. He found the wire on him. He has yet to wake up so he can get the information out of him through his interrogation skills he picked up at Oni. He looked at the mountain. His clone was still there. He assumed his clone was still searching or his clone and found the group and was watching them from a distance. He needed a plan just in case things went wrong. Knowing not to get him wrong, he was confident in his ability to find and eliminate this little group of bandits and rogue shinobi. It's just fighting against shinobi from his world, and fighting against the Covenant were different things. One can manipulate the elements around him or her. The other had advanced technology that can hurt like a bitch. That, and he had not practiced his ninjutsu and chakra control in a long time, 9 years to be exact. Well, he did do a little bit of it on the UNSC planet he was teleported to. But when he turned into a Spartan and worked for Oni, he did not have the time to practice ninjutsu and chakra control. Which reminded him of the nice people who found him and nursed him back to health. Flashback Jutsu Hiroto held back a groan when he felt pain in his entire body. He slowly opened his eyes while trying to calm down his headache. He sits up to find he was in a room. The walls were white, with gray stripes going down. He looked around and saw a desk with a machine he had never seen before. He looks at the middle of the room and sees what looked like a TV that his father sometimes had in his office, but it looked flat and wide. Just then, someone entered the door of the room. He looked at the doorway and saw a woman with long brown hair that reached down to her shoulder and had green eyes. She was wearing a black shirt and light brown shorts. She looked like she was in her mid-30th. She looked at him with wide eyes and then shouted, "Honey, he is awake now." Let's just assume the Naruto universe knows English. Hiroto heard footsteps coming into the room that he found himself in. Hiroto saw a man about the same age as the woman. He was wearing a black tank top that exposed his muscular form. Short that went to his knees. He had black hair and blue eyes. He also had a scar on his left eye that reached his lips. Hiroto assumed he must have had a close call in his life. The man took a good look at him, seemingly analyzing him before he spoke. "Ah, you awoke good then, kid. Mind telling us what you were doing knocked out cold in a forest and looked like you were in a fight with all those injuries on you?" The man asked, which ended in the woman punching him in the shoulder, which Hiroto assumed was the girlfriend or wife. The man winced at the sudden attack and started to rub the shoulder that was hit. The man looked at the woman and asked, "What did I do this time?" The woman glared at the man. "Don't ask that out of the get-go, Jason. What, it's true the kid is lucky we happened to find him out at night, and didn't we agree to ask questions if we took him to our home instead of going to the hospital? But you want to take him home because he didn't have any serious injury and we agreed to ask him, Bianca." The man now named Jason. The woman just huffed and looked away from him. The man sighed, knowing some argument in the future. She will use this situation to make some points. Hiroto looked at the arguing couple in amusement. It reminded him of his mother who would argue with his father, then he did something wrong, just make the woman with red waving hair and the man quivering under the woman. He could not stop himself from chuckling. His chuckling brought the two back to reality as they realized they had a guest. The man coughed to draw his attention and asked, "So kid, back to the original question. What were you doing in the forest at night?" As the two looked at Hiroto. Hiroto considered what to tell them about his mission. It was not like it was an S-class mission, which it was not. So he decided to explain. He explained his mission to hunt down some bandit and shinobi. He would have continued, but the man stopped and asked, "Wait kid, like a mission, like to complete objectives and shinobi, wait, are you into ninjas?" Hiroto gave the man a questioning look and said, "Yes, my father the 4th Hokage sent me on a mission to eliminate bandits with my teammate, and yes, I am a shinobi from Konohagakure, from the headband on my forehead." He pointed to his forehead, which he noticed was missing. He started to look around the room and panicked when he couldn't find it in the room, and looked at the couple who was looking at him as if he's gone insane, but he didn't care, he needed to find his headband. Got up from the bed and started to search the room for it. The man looked at Hiroto as he searched the room for his headband, then he puts his hand up and said, "Kid, calm down and wait, are you talking about the headband that my mother gave me when I finished the academy early with my friends?" he said while he searched the room for his leaf headband. It was at this time the woman spoke up. "Sorry, it's not making any sense, Konohagakure and what's a Hokage?" That stopped Hiroto in his tracks because these two did not know what a Hokage was. It was pretty well known in the elemental nations who the Kages are. He looked at them. "Are you two living under a rock?" The Hokage is the leader of the village hidden in the leaf. One of the 5 great elemental national, and Konohagakure is my home. The two looked at him with questionable faces. He was about to tell them if they were joking with him until he remembered what happened before he blacked out and entered the mysterious portal. Is it possible that he ended up somewhere else? The man and woman looked at each other and said something that made his blood run cold. Kid, I don't know if you're joking or not, but there are no elemental nations on this world, and I lived here for 10 years and I can certainly tell you there's no Konohagakure cure here. Hiroto looked at the couple. His body was shaking, not at the fact may no longer be in the elemental nations, but when he said world like on a different planet, and asked with a shaking voice, "What do you mean? Live in this world like I'm in a different world." The man was looking at him as if he were joking, but as far as the man could see he was not, which was impossible. Humanity has reached the stars centuries ago. But the way he said it was like he first heard about it. The man presumed that he was from different humanity, which was absurd to him. But the way I thought the kid was reacting indicated that this was the first time he was hearing about it. The man sighed, no matter which way the kid was lying or not, seeing as he was about to find out. "Kid, look out the window," the man said while his wife was looking at him confused. Hiroto looked at the covered window and slowly made his way to the window. There was no way he was in another world, that would just be ridiculous. He reached the window and put his hand on the cover and opened the window quickly. What he saw left him speechless. He saw a city larger than he had ever seen, with buildings as high as the sky and ships that appeared to be going in the sky and leaving the atmosphere. It was too much for him to handle and he fainted. Flashback end. Hiroto was shaken out of his memory when he heard the captured shinobi started to wake, which meant interrogating time. Hiroto watched as the rogue nin of IWA by the headband wake up and realized that if he's struggling as if he. Hiroto watched as the captured shinobi struggled against his restraints. Hiroto laughs at the shinobi's pitiful attempts at escape. His laughter catches the captured shinobi's attention. "Let me go, you bastard, or else my boss is going to have you hide." He glares at Hiroto. Hiroto laughed at the pitiful threat. "Your boss does not know you're here or cares about you." As he got up and began to walk slowly and menacingly. "Now that you're awake, we can have." He paused for a moment to let the feeling sink in for this poor shinobi that looks like he came from IWA, from the headband symbol that had a slash going there. It talk. He give the poor bastard a sadistic grin, in which he got when he was interrogating insurrectionists out in the field when he needed information. The man felt terror fill his body when he slowly as his captor made his way toward him. But he tried to put up a tough act. "Go ahead, you bastard, do you worse, I won't tell you anything." Hiroto laughed at his temptation to act tough. He reached his special guest and knelt in front of him with a kunai in his hand. "You have no idea how much I heard that from a fool who thinks that they can keep their mouth shut." He grasses kunai on his cheek. The man was now shaking like a leaf. "Now do you want to do this the easy way or the hard way?" he said with a grin. Said fool decided the hard way. The fool now had bruises and cuts around his body. He was still alive or barely alive, but he did get the information out of him. It was a group of 15 bandits and a small group of 5 Iwa shinobi that decided that they made more money if they left the village. That alone sealed their fate. If there is a thing that Hiroto the Covenant is traitors, especially for a selfish reason. No, whereas he right killing traitor of Iwa. Now Hiroto had nothing against Iwa, but they had something against his father, which he did not blame them. His dad did kill 1,000 of their shinobi in a battle with his flying thunder god technique in the Third Shinobi War. Hiroto sighed that if the villages can look past their hatred for each other, then they would achieve great things. He saw that with the UNSC. Now he was not claiming that the UNSC was perfect. God no, he read humanity's history in what little free time he had. He knows exploitations of the inner colonies to the outer colonies. If that didn't happen, then the insurrection wouldn't have happened and humanity would have had a better chance of delaying the Covenant. He knew there was no chance of beating the Covenant conventionally. The Covenant had more advanced technology. Anyways, where was he? Oh yeah, mission. He eliminated 3 bandits and 2 shinobi. This means he had to eliminate 12 bandits and 3 shinobi, 2 of which were chunin and 1 jonin. The bandits and the chunin are like jackals, annoying but easy to deal with. The jonin are like elite tough, but if you can outthink them and overpower them, they are easy prey. All he needed to do was formulate a battle plan to eliminate this group, then that should be mission done and he would get paid. Hiroto looked at the near-dead Iwa shinobi. Hiroto was going to kill him since he got the information out of him. He almost felt bad for him. "Well, the good news is I have everything, so I will be leaving you." The Iwa lifted his head with what little strength he had and looked in hope that he would live. "Unfortunately, I have to kill you because you're a witness." The rogue Iwa shinobi looked on in terror as Hiroto brought down a kunai to his neck. Hiroto looked at the dead Iwa shinobi, then looked at the mountain where their bandit hideout was. Well, it was time to get to work. He jumped to the nearest tree and made his way to the mountain. Konoha. Namikaze Estate. The Namikaze family just got back from Ichiraku Ramen after Naruto passed Kakashi's test. Minato and Kushina were in the living room while their children went to sleep. They were thinking about the future. Naruto finally graduated, Kushina said with a sad smile, looking at the photo they took after the graduation ceremony. Minato was behind Naruto with a proud grin on his face while his hand on his head with the new Leaf Ninja headband, while Kushina was on her knees beside Minato, her arms wrapped around Naruto's shoulders with a happy smile, while his sister Rei was right looking at him with excitement. No, from Naruto finally becoming a shinobi. Kushina's smile altered because there was supposed to be another person in the picture. Minato noticed the smile faltered and put his arms around her and asked, "What is wrong, Kushi-chan?" She didn't answer. Instead looked at the picture next to Naruto's graduation picture. It was their first son's Hiroto graduation picture. Both Minato and Kushina were behind Hiroto with their hands on his shoulder, proudly smiling at the camera. With a young Naruto next to Hiroto with a grin. Minato followed her where her eyes were looking. He let a sad smile grace his face when he found that she was looking at the picture of their son when he graduated. Minato put his head on her shoulder and whispered, "I miss him too," then kissed her on her cheek. Kushina let a small tear go down her cheek when he said that, "I know, but I can't let go that we miss something that could have helped us find him or let us know he was still alive." Minato let out a sigh when he heard that. He could not help but believe that they missed something as well. "Kushi-chan, I know this is hard," he interrupted when she turned and glared at him. "Are you saying that he's gone forever?" said Kushina. Minato sighed and put his hand on his hair. "Kushina, it's been 9 years. He knew that Kushina still had trouble accepting Hiroto's death. He asked both Makoto and Hitomi to come and get her to get out of Hiroto's room to get her to Hiroto's funeral. When he declared him Kia. Of course, when he declared Hiroto Kia. A small part of him hoped that Hiroto would come home, or if there was a clue that they missed, but his sensei and Kakashi talked to him. He said to them that there has to be something that they missed that could lead them to Hiroto, but they said if there was a clue, wouldn't they have found it? After a few more arguments, he accepted it. "There has to be something we missed, maybe a clue or something," Kushina desperately said. "Kushina, we checked the mission site and there was nothing there," Minato said. "Exactly, there was nothing, which means nobody, which means that he can still be out," Kushina said. "Kushina, if he was out there, then why hasn't he come back?" Minato said. "Maybe he's hiding somewhere or he's captured," Kushina shot back. "Kushina, if he was captured we would have known immediately," Minato said as he hugged his wife. "There has to be something," Kushina said with a strained voice as she cried in Minato. "Kushi-chan, it's hard to accept, but we have to move on," he said softly into her ear while he slowly moved hand in her hair that he loved so much. Kushina was about to say something but was cut off by voice. "Mommy, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" Minato and Kushina separated from each other and looked and saw their children there. Rei was there with a look of concern. Naruto had a sad look on his face, knowing exactly why she was crying. When his brother didn't return from his mission with his mission partner, he assumed that he was late. It wasn't until he got older until he figured out what happened to his deceased older brother. When his father declared him missing in action, he had always that he was going to appear. But when days turned to mouth, then to years, that hope slowly drained away. Then his father declared him Kia. Naruto finally figured out how cruel the shinobi life can become. Did that stop him from becoming Hokage? No, he just became aware of what might happen to him. He took his training seriously after that. Many of his friends did after that. His brother was like a big brother to them all. When his father declared him Kia, all of his friends showed up to his funeral. He still remembers it like it was yesterday. Flashback Jutsu play Naruto Ost Sadness and Sorrow. Rain was pouring down on Konoha Cemetery as family and friends dressed in black came to honor the fallen Hiroto Namikaze. Families like the Nara, Yamanaka, Akamichi, Inazuka, Aburame, Hyuga, and the Uchiha come to honor to their comrade. Naruto just stood there in front of the memorial stone, emotionless and unmoving, while everyone pay their respect to the eldest Namikaze. Naruto felt someone holding his hand. He looks and finds Hinata holding his hand. She was always there for him even in his darkest hours. Just like their darkest hours, she was there for him. That's what he loved about her. she never failed to brighten his day. "It's okay Naruto-kun, it will be okay," Hinata said. Naruto looks back at the memorial stone. "I know it's just hard to accept." He felt the tears going down his face. He hugged Hinata while he was silently crying. Hinata just hugged him back. "End Ost, it's nothing sweetie. We were just about your older brother." His mother voice shook him out of his memory. Rei tilted her head to the right. "Naruto?" she asked. Kushina shook her head. "No, the other one." Everything was silent after that. Rei looked at her parents and was about to ask what she meant, but their mother cut her off before she could ask. "Kids, go back to bed because Naruto has to be in a team meeting." She looked at her daughter with a smile. "You need to go to bed so you can wake up early for training for tomorrow." That seemed to do the trick. Minato thought as he silently laughed as his wife went to put their daughter to bed. "Dad. See you tomorrow. You am going to bed," Naruto said with a yawn. "Good night Naruto," Minato said as he watched his son go to bed. Then he looked at Hiroto's graduation picture, then sighed as he went to join his wife in their bedroom. Somewhere in Land of Fire near a mountain range, Hiroto arrived at the mountains and found some tracks that lead to a hidden path. Hiroto either thought this group was terrible at hiding there or they just didn't. He hoped it was the latter because the insurrection was better at hiding their tracks. Which meant the shinobi that was leading this was incompetent. Well, that makes this much easier if that's the case. He thought as he silently followed the path and was careful if there were any traps. He was nearing the end of the hidden path. That is when his clone pops. He instantly got the clone's memories back. He saw that his clone found the hidden path and went through and found the group camp. It was located in between the mountains. There are 4 tents in a circle around the front of a cave entrance with 5 bandits guarding the perimeter. The 5 bandits given guard duty looked tired and bored. That he will use to his advantage. From what he could gather from his clone's memory, the rest of the bandits are sleeping with 1 shinobi in the 3rd tent. The 2 rogue shinobi are still in the cave. Probably planning for their next move. He thought as the leader of this little group and the second in command. He had a plan which includes what he was good at, eliminating the little group the most effective way possible with his handy kunai. He tree climb on the rocks carefully so as to not alert the unsuspecting bandits. He carefully landed next to the 4th. He slowly moved to the front of the tent and entered it. He looked to find 2 sleeping bandits. He took out the kunai and slit the throats of the sleeping bandits. They died without making a sound. He did this to the 1st and 2nd tent. After that he killed the ones outside slowly so as to not make noise. Then he entered the tent that had a shinobi. He moved slowly so as not to wake the sleeping shinobi. All through, Hiroto looked at the shinobi slept without a care. "Rookie, you always sleep lightly." Thought Hiroto always slept lightly. When he was out in the field, he quickly killed the shinobi and bandits that were sleeping. He exited the tent and went inside the cave and moved to the tunnel. He stopped when he heard voices. "So what do we do now since the traitor ain't coming?" asked a voice. "We'll move to the more common roads," said a different voice. "Will our employer get mad about that?" Ackhead voice number 1. "Someone hired these guys," thought Hiroto as he made a mental to interrogate the leader as he continues to listen to their conversation. "Look, he won't complain if we give him the valuable, okay," said voice number 2. Voice number 1 sighed. "Fine, I am going to sleep." "While you do, tell the man we're moving out tomorrow," said voice number 2. "Whatever," voice 2 said while moving to the entrance of the cave. Hiroto hid behind a rock as he let the rogue pass before he pounced on him and slit his throat. Hiroto let the body hit the floor making a thud noise. She tried to fight the headache that was assaulting his brain. He got a message earlier in the day from their employer that the traitor stopped coming in the road they were raiding and to move. He was already planning on doing that. Hopefully the diversion group can divert shinobi from a village from finding them. He was about to go to bed when he heard a thud from the tunnel leading to the entrance of the cave. He slowly turns around and looks at the tunnel and pulls out a kunai and slowly moves through the tunnel. Only to find a second in command dead by his throat cut. He moved outside to find anyone alive. He found everyone dead by their throat. He looked around frantically for intruder. He didn't look beyond him. Hiroto silently got behind the man and grabbed hard behind and put him to the ground hard. Hiroto heard the man breathing became erotic, making him grim. "All right, scumbag, you're going to tell me or else I am going to make your death that much more painful." Hiroto threatens him with much of his killing intention. Hiroto watched as the rogue shinobi from Iwa trembled with fear. One lengthy interrogation later, Hiroto stood above the now-dead Iwa shinobi. He learned that some man named Gato hired them to raid some of his competitors' trade caravans. He will look into this Gato character later once he is familiar with the political climate of the element nations. He sighed as he went to collect the headband bends for proof of him completed. As soon as he collected all of the headbands, he went to find a good place to sleep for the night. Of course he wasn't that tired, but if there is one he learned from his career as Oni headhunter, you can also use a good night rest. The next morning, as soon as Hiroto woke, he went back to the town so he could get the mission pay. He went to the town hall. As soon as he walked in, he saw the assistant there. He noted the surprised look on her face. "Oh, you're back already?" she asked, look surprised. He chuckled at that. "Well, what can I say, I work fast. Now can you please take me to Mayor, please?" he asked with a smile. "Of course, please follow me," she said while she led him to the mayor. Hiroto followed the assignment to the mayor office. Since it was 12:30 p.m. he was definitely working. "Here you go," said the assistant. Hiroto thanked her as he went into the office. As soon as he walked in, he was greeted by the mayor. Well, you're back quickly," said Mayor. "Well, I work fast when I am motivated," said Hiroto with a laugh. Mayor laughed as well but stopped and went back to business. "I assumed the problem had been dealt with." "Yep, and I got proof right here," Hiroto said as he dropped the in front of the man's desk. The man looked in the bag and saw the headband. "I see, thanks for taking care of the group. Do you know why they were raiding there in the first place?" asked the mayor. Hiroto crossed his arms and said, "Apparently some guy named Gato hired this group to attack his competitors' caravans." The mayor hummed, "Well, anyway, thank you again, and here you pay," he said as he grabbed a bag of ryo from his desk. Hiroto grabbed the bag and went to leave. He stopped and turned his head to the mayor and said, "I might come back, so if you hear anything interesting, will you tell me?" He was surprised by this and said, "I will, since you did this for us. I suppose if you return I will tell you what I heard." Hiroto nodded. "Thanks, see you around," he said while closing the door. As he exited the building, he thought what his next move will be since coming back. First, he was going to have to get the political picture of the elemental nations. The last time he was here was when he was 7 years ago and there was a shinobi world war going on. He assumed the war ended by now because it was a long time since he left and nobody had the manpower to continue that long. Then after he was done with that, he was going to track this Gato fellow and have a chat with him. He smiles at the thought of putting a bullet to his brain. The story is end here now. We will meet with another chapter, so don't forget to subscribe our channel for more content like this.